Since I was brought up, this town has changed.
It has.
We don't even know our neighbors now.
No, well, that. Yeah. Okay, this is Mike Delorier again, folks, and I'm here with Jay Walker on the camera and the sound, and we will be interviewing a longtime resident of the town of Sabattus, John Coburn. John, how old are you, and how long have you lived in Sabattus?
92 years old. I've lived here all my life.
Okay, and where did you live in Sabattus?
Right here, 33 Lake Street.
Wow, okay. And where did you go to school from K to 12? However far you went. Primary
school was on Green Street, and then I went to the high school on Main Street and graduated in 1948 from Sabattus High School.
Good enough. And what was like growing up in the village when you were a child, let's say up to the age of 11, 12 years old?
Well, there wasn't too much to do, but the basketball games down at the old town hall, boy, they were a lot of fun. And down at Martin's Point, they had the softball games at night at 4 o'clock, and that was quite entertaining. And I used to go to all the basketball games. I never hung around the corner too much, but I went to the basketball games. And then I think his name was Ed Mason, used to put movies on at the town hall at night. And that was pretty interesting because I never went to the Strand Theater in them places.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
And I would imagine that the lake was a big part of your life. You probably went swimming most every day in the summer.
Anytime I could find the time to jump in the lake, I was in the lake.
Yeah.
And it's a wonder we didn't drown. Us kids used to swim from Martin's Point to Long Beach just to see who was over there, hang around for half an hour and swim all the way back to Martin's Point. Yeah. But there was plenty to do. I run errands for all the people in the neighborhood and picking up the groceries and stuff down at the store. And I used to help the people paint back them days. And when I got old enough, I used to work with Mr. Pinard at the Pleasant Hill Cemetery in the summer. And I worked on the road crew for, well, the work started with Mr. Huey, and then I went to work for Mr. Gayton when he went on, and Frank Wood at the end of it. There was always something to do.
So this would be when you were a teenager, right?
When I was a teenager.
Yeah, okay. Because I was going to ask you, how was life growing up as a teenager in town, so I guess you're answering me right
Winter
now.
time, though, we did a lot of skating. It seemed to me that there was more ice. We used to skate to the head of the lake like nothing, and we played a lot of hockey out here. We had a lot of fun in the wintertime, and when it snowed, us kids all got together. We made a great big place down back with snow scoops and stuff, and so we could play hockey.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of skating parties at night. Couldn't do it now, but we used to burn tires down there, and we had quite the bonfires.
No, yeah, there was a lot of things that you could do in those days that today is sort of you're hampered. Kids are have their hands tied as far as trying to find things to do like that.
But when they had the softball games down at Martin's Point, that drew quite a crowd.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And after high school, what did you do?
After high school, I went to work on construction for about 2 years. And I got sick of traveling. They were sending me all, well, we would do a Central Maine Power Company work. I'd be in Booth Bay one day and I might be in Augusta the next day. I got sick of traveling, so I went to work in New Albany in the Jeep garage. And when that closed up, I went up on Washington Street to the American Motors Rambler garage. And I stayed there quite a few years. I ended up working in my dooryard the last 12 or 15 years, run my garage out here. And that was the end of me.
No, and yeah, people from that era, like, as I've said to you before we went on camera, I mean, everybody knew Johnny Coburn. I mean, you know. Do you briefly want to mention your wife and your children and grandchildren? Just their names will be fine?
Yeah. Well, my father's name was William Coburn. My mother's name was Ellen Curry Coburn.
Actually, she was a reverend.
And my wife, Colleen. I got a daughter, a boy, Michael, and Jimmy. And yeah.
What is the biggest change you've seen in Sabattus, do you think?
Oh, there's so much change.
Yeah, and just kind of
Growth.
spell it out for us.
Growth is one of the biggest ones. Jim took me for a ride out in the country, and I couldn't believe the houses everywhere. Where we used to go hunting, there's a house now. And when I was a kid, the roads were all gravel. Now they're all black. And the fire department, see, we had nothing but a 1930 Chevrolet truck. And Kenneth Spencer and I built up the tank truck, which we used for years. That was a good running Ford. And then they got the FWD. Now they got all modern equipment and training. See, the only training we had was what we got ourselves. And the police department, that I guess full time now. But back then, it was the village of Sabattus and the town of Webster. My police badges say Sabattus Webster. I can show you one in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And now they've got good trained men on the fire department. They've got good equipment. And the full-time police department, which back in our day we got called out, there was a dispatcher, because the calls came in here.
I think I was the first dispatcher in the Maine.
Yeah.
And after I was there for a while, you started to see a lot of them.
Repeat customers?
Yeah.
See, back in them days, when you heard the church bell ring, or the whistle blow at the lower mill, that was the fire call.
Yeah.
That's how we come through.
People that follow us and have been listening to some of our YouTube things, unfortunately hear me say the same thing, and you kind of mentioned it before we started filming, that there's a different sense in the town. And the town used to be, you know, as I was speaking with Donald Waterman, when there was 800 or 900 people, it was like a big family.
Yeah.
But now, as you mentioned, you don't even know the names of your neighbors anymore, you know. And that's a big change for people like you and I. Maybe some other people don't quite understand the feeling, but...
Well, you figure, back when I was younger, the woolen mill and the rubber factory, and during the war, they were running 3 shifts. And they're all gone now. Completely.
Yeah, that is a big difference.
The fire hydrants were fed by the old tank tower that was down there. See, that's gone now. And, things have changed a lot. Where the schoolhouse is, where I graduated, that's a fire station now. And when the year they built the fire station is the year that I quit going to fires. I started when I was so young enough. I used to take my bicycle, go down and get the old 30, and it just changed. I mean, completely.
Yeah.
I got down to the fire department the year that they built the fire station. That was enough.
I don't have the exact year of that, but...
And back in them days of the police department, we got the calls and we used to go in our own car till the town bought us a car to play with. Well, I remember when the old wooden dam was down there, and they had the gatehouse, and in the morning, they'd take, and at night at 4 o'clock, they'd close the gates because they used the water. And in the morning at about 6:30, somebody would come up and open the gates for the water. And I remember the old wooden dam, they ripped it apart, and Bill Witherell and his crew cemented over the dam. And I think that was the same year they took the dam house off the gate.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I remember.
they had a padlock on it, so
Yeah.
nobody, because some of the younger guys in town would get out and they'd close the gates during the day, you see. They had a padlock on it, but the padlock didn't work too good. I knew how to open the padlock, but I never closed the gates on them.
Yeah.
But every year the water used to go down, so this was a flat, and it was just a channel down through. The water would get so low, they'd use it so much, and it would get out. I haven't seen it down for years, have you?
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah, but
because the sandbar goes all the way through, almost to the end. There's just a little channel out there. And,
When I first came in, that sandbar was almost facing a long beach, but it, through the years it's
Yep.
come more.
just
In a
keep
few
coming
years,
in.
the beach will be here, but I'll never see it.
See, back in town,
Question, yeah.
in my younger days, the train used to go behind the schoolhouse, and must have been almost through your house.
Yeah.
And there was a train station at the bottom of the hill,
At the depot.
a depot, yeah. And my father's uncle, Fred Richardson, run the station. I used to go down there a lot with him, my father. And when something was going to be brought into town, it would come in by train.
Yeah.
Even from Lewiston. They always said the big window out front, that came in by train. And they said my father and somebody else put it on a wheelbarrow when they built the house and brought it up here. That came in by train. And because I remember the train tracks on the other side of the lake, there was a siding. And they used to put the empty boxcars over there. But our family didn't want us over there because there was hobos living in it. I remember that playing. Then it seems the trolley cars come in. And the other way you got to Lewiston, if you didn't have a car, you went by trolley. At one time they claimed the trolley went all the way to Gardner. But in my day it always stopped at down here, and they reversed the thing and back to Lewiston. And just about, I should say, the end of World War II, I think it was, when the buses started. Because I remember I was on the corner when the first bus came in, and a bunch of the men in town, must have been a half a dozen of them, all got on the bus to take the first ride to Lewiston. I'll tell you one part of the town that really changed is what Cumberland Farms are now. My grandfather and grandmother lived there. My grandfather owned the whole corner, and William and Nellie Curry, and that's how the corner got the name Curry. Curries, I guess they call it. The town used to call it Courier Corner, but it wasn't. It was Curry's Corner. And they had he sold gas. He had a filling station and a small store. And he had a lot of business because every time somebody came in to get gas that had a child in the car, he gave them a lollipop. So the kids would all want the parents to get out there to get the gas so they could get the lollipops. And he ran he built quite a few houses in town, them two across the street. Over on Island Road, almost at the end, he had a sawmill on the riverbank. I can remember the sawmill. And he used to cut his own lumber to build his houses with. He built quite a few houses. And plus, he run that filling station
That was, yeah.
Right straight from Scotland. He come over on the
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
Because they always told me, my oldest aunt came over on that boat, and it was a wooden boat, and they said that they had come into a terrible storm, and they had to throw stuff overboard to keep the boat afloat, and they lost all their records. My mother was born in the United States, and she passed away when I was 9. She had, they didn't know much about it, that Lou Gehrig disease.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was almost, my father worked night and day in the mills, and you might as well say I almost brought myself up.